All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if it has BSS for its local search and for its city search. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we take declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographers in their city. Our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that in, whatever, pinned post, pinned video, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if we're falling, we're missing somewhere on this, intent ladder. We're not capturing the amount of people we need to at each intent step or intent level. So we see over on the left, BSS, that's what we talk about here. That's the highest intent people doing, social search, Google search. And then over on the right, the lowest intent people, that's BLCS, that's our other brand, Boudoir Facebook Ad Doctor. That's where we're working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand per month on their boudoir Facebook ads. But BSS, that's what we care about today. So care about the highest intent people right now. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1, and we're invisible. We're basically dead. And that's because that means we're on page 2 or deeper, and we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go past the first page. That's literally page 1 only. So those 20%ers, we don't care about them. We want to deal with the 80%. 80%ers, the bulk of people. Now, 1 slot on page 1 also is not good for us because we look like everyone else on page 1. If there's not other boudoir photographers and everyone's got 1 link, then the searcher, the buyer, is simply going to click, literally click and opens everyone's website, contact everyone. We don't stand out at all. Probably won't even remember our name. So boudoir search sameness, boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Extremely common, but it's not normal. Is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. First deeper root cause is market saturation, which most know about. The second one is the false belief of page 1 equality, which most people do not know about. Now, the market saturation, that's where it seems like every week someone gets a new iPhone, they throw up their Google My Business profile, and they say they shoot boudoir, they got their website up, they're competing with us to rank on page 1. Basically, more boudoir photographers over time competing for the same number of buyers, so it makes it harder, more difficult for everyone to compete. So that's consistently pushing people out of page 1 onto page 2, and effectively invisible to 80% of searchers that never even go to page 2. Now the new one here, we got the false belief of page 1 equality. This is new because people have kind of auto-accepted it because there's never really a word to describe this. And for people to say, oh, I agree with that or disagree with that or I think it's true or false or whatever. But the false belief of page 1 is equality is basically assuming, getting 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google is the default. It's the norm. Everyone either has 0 slots or 1 slot, and maybe you had 1 slot on Google page 1, but market saturation puts us off to page 2. So all right, we got 0 slots on page 1, we got 1 slot on page 2, and all right, that's how it is. That's how being a boudoir photographer is. But no, actually, we can actually take as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the work for. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in 10 days. So this kind of page 1 equality assumption or like default belief, default assumption is 100% incorrect, which we'll see in a few more pictures down here. We also know that a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, so 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Yeah, it's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. I mean, if you got 0 slots on page 1, you're definitely disappearing. 1 slot on page 1 probably also disappearing as well because there may be some other people that got 2 slots on page 1, and we're not at 1 slot. We're not saying that at all. We're basically invisible. We're being price shopped against everyone. So it's kind of the canary in the coal mine where once someone becomes a disappearing boudoir photographer and they don't fight against it, then pretty soon, eventually, the entire business disappears as well. So it's kind of the canary in the coal mine of what can happen in the next future in the business. So BSS, luckily we got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology. We invented this, been working on it for about 7 months now. We're liking the results so far, so we're bringing it to market. And to utilize S-cubed methodology, remember it's social search saturation. So we saturate search on Facebook search, Instagram search, TikTok search, YouTube search with what our people searching for boudoir photo shoots will be typing in. So we show up there. And once we do that, that actually flows over to Google. So saturating social search actually flows over to Google kind of as a byproduct, giving us multiple links on page one. And again, I went from 0 out of 10 links on page one to 9 out of 10 links on page one for what I wanted to rank for in 10 days. And so the magic about this is the only way someone can use this is if they crash, if they destroy that false belief of page one equality. Because once we use S-cubed methodology, and once you actually see these results I got, we'll realize, oh, that belief was actually false. Page one equality is not the norm. Google actually will give us as many links as we want to put in the effort to acquire, as many page one links. And so the second magical thing about S-cubed methodologies is it's the only thing I've seen that actually fights back against market saturation. So imagine if there's, we're a boudoir photographer in LA, and there's a total of 1 million boudoir photographers in LA. Everyone's got their own website. So everyone's, fiercely competing to be page one of Google. But imagine we take the S-cubed methodology to the extreme where we rank so hard for the highest intent keywords for people searching for boudoir photo shoots. And, we absolutely crush social search saturation, where literally like the first 300 slots of any and every search related to boudoir is us. So it's around all the social platforms that flows over to Google. And let's say the first 300 organic results on Google are only us as well, because we took S-cubed methodology to the max. So the fact that there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers actually doesn't matter to us, because for the first 300 slots, anywhere somebody looks for a boudoir photo shoot in LA, we're the only ones there. They got to go down to slot like 301, and Google is 10 organic slots per page. So they got to go to page like 31 to find another boudoir photographer. So whose business is still doing great? Ours, even though there's literally 999,999 other boudoir photographer competitors. So this is one of the special things about S-cubed methodology. It's the only thing I've seen that actually, builds momentum and helps us compete against market saturation. That can happen relatively quickly. The only other second thing would be brand. People doing branded searching for our brand specifically, but that takes years. So this is something that happens way faster than years to build a brand. And now once treated with S-cubed methodology, we now have page one visibility. So we're actually seen on page one, even though, we may have had one slot on page one, we're still kind of invisible. But with page one visibility, we got 2. Well, we go for the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 here for local search and city search. But the added bonus is every new slot we take up on page one, we are kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible, because approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They stay on page 1. And as a result, kind of as we take 4 out of 10 slots, 5 out of 10 slots, 6 out of 10 slots, people searching for at least the 80%, the big chunk we're going for, they can only price shop us or compare us against 2, 3, 4 boudoir photographers instead of against 9, because they ain't going to page 2 anyways. And so this is one of the other bonuses. It's actually kicks our competitors out of basically being found. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, because we're no longer at 0 or 1. We're no longer at 0, 1 slots on page 1, and boudoir search for So we're actually standing out. Well, 0, 1, and we won't get to 3 because there may actually be someone else that has 2. I mean, 1's most common, 2 is kind of rare. But if we got 3 out of 10, we're ultra rare. And we're definitely standing out against people that have 1 slot each. and still standing out against people that got 2 slots. It's probably only one other person. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. And this is our university disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Once we accept page 1 equality is false, now we know, okay, now we can tackle it, we can solve it. The only thing I know that can solve it is S-cubed methodology. It actually solves, the only thing I know that can solve both false belief of page 1 equality and market saturation. We achieve page 1 visibility, we become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, so these are my results actually doing, so ranking for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So that's what I want to rank for. So we got the AI overview, got the Google Map Pack. Now looking at organic. So I got organic slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. So I got 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google. And this was after I went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. And kicked everyone else off page 1. I took it over. And this is showing the power of the S-cubed methodology, where Google wants to give these page 1 slots to the people that want the page 1 slots the most, and to be relevant to the user search. So these slots are always up for grabs for everyone that wants them. So now to the main event here. Let's see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for its local search and its city search. So Middletown, Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. Okay. So here we go, Middletown, Delaware. So here we go, we got slot 1. Sponsor doesn't count. All right, we got slot 2. All right, we got slot 3. We got slot 4. Hey, we got slot 5. And we got slot 6. Slot 7. Slot 8. Amazing. All right, this is what we want. This is page 1 domination. When we got 8 out of 10 or more slots on page 1. Google search for our highest intent keyword. Perfect. Exactly what we want. Obviously, we want as many as we can get, 9 or 10 as well, but hey man, 8's great. So we do not have BSS for local search, and we have achieved the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search. Perfect. And that search, the largest city close by, which is Wilmington, the same thing. All right, so here we go. We got slot 1. Boom, slot 2. All right, so we got slot 2 here. So we do not have BSS for city search either. So we got 2 out of 10 slots. Nice. And a benefit. So we do not have BSS for local search, and we hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search. We also do not have BSS for city search, but we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for city search. So all in all, pretty good. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer and you've done the local search for the highest intent keywords in your city that buyers would be searching, and you're seeing, you've got BSS at the local level or the city level or both, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google organic search, then so you're seeing you got BSS, and you're seeing S-cubed methodology is the one solution for you, the one path forward. And you want more slots on page 1. You also want the extra bonus of kicking out competitors from page 1, because now for approximately 80% of searchers, you won't be compared against them. The more we can kick off competitors off page 1, the better. And you want to use S-cubed methodology because the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, the false belief. That Google actually wants to and will give as many number 1 slots to whoever wants to put in the effort to take them. You understand market saturation, get new phones, market's getting saturated more, boudoir photographers get new camera, saturating boudoir photographers more. And you're also seeing into the future. where AI is going to be taking more and more people's jobs. It's just going to be pushing more and more boudoir photographers into the market over time, or at least pushing more people to become boudoir photographers into the market over time because it's higher ticket. And look, everyone's got an amazing camera attached to their phone. So if you're seeing that and you realize, man, you want the initial benefits, but you also want the fortification benefits of S-cubed methodology to basically have a higher momentum wall of any new to market boudoir photographers from ranking on page one, taking those slots away from you. And so you're seeing all that. You want these kind of initial benefits. You want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer. You want to achieve boudoir search visibility because you need all those things to be the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also want these extra few back-end bonuses as well, which is kind of the more you successfully execute S-cubed methodology, the more we're building up kind of these invisible thematic keyword columns kind of attached to our brand, attached to our social accounts, attached to our name, our business name, kind of building up these invisible spokes connecting to our central hub that are building up the mind share for us in the minds of AI search. So every day we successfully execute S-cubed methodology, and those all those initial benefits, then the extra back-end benefit of higher chance we're the only one recommended here on AI Overview, premium placement above all other options. For every day we execute S-cubed methodology correctly, and higher chance we get recommended via AI search, which is basically ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Kind of, we're building up this brain space momentum in the back end in AI's, AI brain for a higher chance they recommend us through AI search with all these platforms. Because, we'll eventually build up enough invisible thematic keyword columns connected to us, which is what AI loves. And so back-end benefits with that. And also, the final back-end benefit is every day we do this, we're pulling away from current boudoir photographers, building up all these initial benefits and the momentum to the future benefits, the domination of AI search. So remember last time I searched for boudoir photographers in a city, it recommended me 3, but I actually went and searched on my own, and there's like 60. So we're getting the initial benefits page one, kicking people off page one, so they're no longer findable. We are increasing mind share for AI in the back end, for AI Overview, Google search, and all traditional AI search recommending us as well. And we actually, so the more action we take now to separate us from current competitors and future competitors, the more momentum we build up, the harder and harder it'll be for anyone to catch us. Because right now my plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, which means we won't be, all the competitors will be left in the dust. But conversely, if you're seeing all that, you decide you're going to be the first mover of your city. Conversely, if a competitor moves first, then we'll be making all the initial benefits and future momentum towards future benefits with them. And you'll actually have to rederive or derive for the first time your own S-cubed methodology, figure out how to do it yourself. And then you have to go execute it, which you will not be 100% confident in because you will not know if you've successfully derived it for yourself, yes or no. You'd have to equal our execution to maintain the gap of yourself and me and your competitor. And you'd actually have to outwork us by 2 or 3x to, basically close the gap, pull back the brain space momentum, those invisible thematic keyword columns from AI that's going to your competitor back to you. And dude, who's got the time? There's only 24 hours in the day. How are you going to outcompete us when I invented this? So if you want all that, then shoot me a DM. You want to be the first mover in your city? Shoot me a DM when my DM's open for new patient intake. My DMs are currently not open for new patient intake. But when I do open my DMs for new patient intake, send me a message and we'll see if you qualify to use S cubed methodology in your business.